Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Tara, thank you for having me in your Tara's Tuesday talk.
It can be hours if you want. Glad to have you. This is Jorge Garcia. I'm Tara Garcia.
Hi.
This is Tara's Tuesday Talk. And we wanted to just have a moment to chat with you about something we've been thinking about and processing now that things are kind of opening up a little bit. Everyone's kind of saying, and I've heard people ask, what are you going to keep doing that you started because of the pandemic? What are you going to try to intentionally keep doing? So that's our question for each other. And so we're going to share our thoughts on that and would love to hear your answers too in the comments.
Yeah.
So what are you going to keep doing, Jorge, that you started during COVID?
Well, since we don't have to rush out the door every morning,
It's been nice.
we've had time, sometimes early, sometimes a little bit later, to do devotions with our kids. And I think we need to be very intentional about that. And specifically for you guys listening out there, that you're head of households, um, it's our position to be the leaders of our family in every aspect of our life, but especially in this. We need to study the Word. We need to bring it to our kids in a way that they would pay attention. They would understand, and they would see it reflected in you.
Hey, I love that. So we'll have to think about when to do it before school or when they get home. It's a lot easier in the summer to keep that kind of tradition that we've started of devotions every morning with the kids, but it has been really neat. So I'm in that with you to figure out doing that intentionally
Yeah,
every day. Good.
absolutely.
I like that. I like that a lot. We've had
You can
some,
figure out the agenda.
and you figure out the devotion.
All right.
Perfect. It has been sweet moments with the kids doing their little devotion book every morning and hearing their thoughts, and it just opens up so much conversation. Okay, so I have a non-serious and a serious intentional continue after COVID. My non-serious one is puzzles. We've been doing a lot of puzzles, and I like puzzles. Like, if they're a good puzzle, right? We've had some bad puzzles that we wanted to throw in the trash. But I think we should keep doing puzzles. So that's that. And we'll have to take them with us because I don't think there's many puzzles in Honduras.
Yeah, we've never really looked, but
Okay,
I'm sure there's some.
Yeah. And then my serious one, I was thinking through this morning when we decided to chat about this. Intentional is again with our kids. Just making sure we intentionally talk about issues around us, world issues. Obviously, sometimes they come up because kids ask questions, but there's a lot of things that we have to intentionally, as parents, think about, plan, pray, and then sit down and talk to our kids. I think there's a balance that's really hard sometimes between robbing them of their innocence and making sure we talk about an issue before someone else does that doesn't have our belief system or our values. And so, obviously, with the current events, racism was one of the topics that we wanted to talk to with the kids. And I shared that on social media a while back. It was just really neat how when everything started to happen, I was like, oh, we've got to talk to our kids. Like, what if they, we really haven't seen or dealt with any of that issue in Honduras on the mission field. And it just hasn't been something we've needed to talk to. So when that was happening here, I knew it was possible that the kids would see something and, or somebody would say something, and prayed about like, how in the world do I even start that conversation? And it was really neat because their devotion that next morning was about the verse, don't judge someone by the color of their skin. And it was like, oh, thank you, Lord. There we go. And so we had a little conversation about it then. And then last night, so we watched Little House on the Prairie together as a family. I love Little House on the Prairie. And it's really neat because they're historical things. Obviously, it's a faith show, so there's Jesus stuff we talk about. I love the kids' questions about, did they really build houses like that back then? Did they really do this or do that? So it's really fun. It's been
Right, I want to jump in because it's really cool. So we're watching season number 3, and I think it's episode 13.
Of course you would remember that.
It's about a quarantine. And now 3 or 4 episodes later, it's an episode specifically about racism.
Yeah.
About this black kid that came to town and this is based in the late 1800s, so it's a little bit different of what's going on right now. It was more
slavery had ended, Emancipation Proclamation had been written.
Ended, yeah.
And that was last night's show. And so I was like, there's another opportunity. And so the kids had never heard the word Negro. And so, like, they have black friends, but we're friends, right? We don't like, look at each other. He doesn't say, my brown daddy and my white mama. Like, our kids have never even thought about that. And so they hear that word and they're like, what's that mean? And what's this mean? And why could he not go to school? Like, that just blew their mind. And we're like, oh, we've got a lot of educating to do if they're going to understand the history and issues right now in the United States when we visit. Obviously, our kids have not been raised in the U.S., so there's just some things that we want to be intentional to make sure they understand from us and from biblical standpoint. So we had a great conversation last night. They'd never heard the word racism. So we talked about what the word racism meant. And just told them, if you ever hear someone say something mean about someone else because of their color or education level or anything, you stand up and just say, hey, that's not okay. Or just walk away if that's what you need to do if you're not a bold, outspoken person like our sweet little Hosanna. But just know this is wrong. Like, we just want them to be equipped with that tool right away of, hey, this isn't okay. And there's a lot of issues in life that they need to be equipped to know just immediately. Don't start listening, don't pay attention, don't even process what that person is saying or what you see. We talk about a lot when you're reading a book or if you're at a friend's house watching a show, if something in your spirit, like, catches, like, just leave. Don't keep watching, don't keep reading, come talk to us about it. We'll talk about why it bothers you, but you have to be sensitive and be paying attention. So obviously that's our job as parents, because how easy would it be for them to be with a friend that they trust and they're comfortable with and start hearing, something they've never processed before or thought about before and, start to believe what the person's saying just naturally, just like, oh, okay, I believe I'm hearing what you're saying, and not be equipped to understand that that's not okay. Was that a little rambling? But still, I think it made sense, right?
It did.
Okay. So just being intentional. So that's something I want to keep after, like, obviously not rushing around, being able to sit, just being able to pray and say, Lord, how should I talk to my kid about this issue, and equip them with the Bible verses of how, their belief system needs to be built. So that's my serious one. Do you have anything else?
Fun ones?
Do you have a fun, intentional do after COVID?
Well, besides the puzzles, and they are
He
fun.
likes puzzles too. We get mad at him because he'll sit, instead of like doing a little bit each day, he'll sit and do it for like, a solid hour. And we're like, stop, we want to do the puzzle too. So anyway.
I like to do the easy parts.
Yeah.
Well, not easy, but the obvious parts. I'm playing also, board games?
More board games, yeah.
Dominion. Yeah. If you have a 10-year-old that beats you in all those games, it's okay. It's good for them. It's good for you to learn that you're not always going to win.
Sweet.
And I don't know. Other things. Woodworking.
Yeah, keep doing that. I like that.
Yeah, I'm learning. It's so much fun. And don't get discouraged if you meet someone that can build a house, someone that can build a guitar, or someone that can build whatever, and you can just build a little box. Just keep going, and you'll get there. I promise.
Yeah, sweet.
And teach your kids, right? Teach your kids, because it's a hobby. It could be a their livelihood someday. We don't know. It could be
their wife will be happy,
right,
if they can build something. Sorry. Or cook something. Their husbands will, or vice versa. Both of those. We don't have to.
Right.
Yeah, I've been intentional about letting the kids help me cook more, because obviously we're not rushing as much. So making sure they know how to make their own egg, make pancakes, whatever. Okay, so we'd love to hear what you're going to be intentional about as things open up and but life gets busy again. Really believe the Lord can bring good out of something that hasn't been good. Because he can work out those details in our lives. And so would love to hear about that from you. And then always like to bring it around to orphan care a little bit. I would love to encourage you to be intentional about what you're doing in orphan care, and not just sending money not just giving to maybe what you see, but researching and being intentional about making sure where you're giving is making the impact. The organization you're giving to, or the projects you're giving to, is making the impact that is a good impact, not going to hurt. There's been, maybe we'll talk about this on another Tuesday talk, there's been a lot of conversation about how when things open up, people are going to start traveling, and obviously we're going to be dealing with a larger level of poverty in our third world countries. So like Honduras, we've talked about this is going to impact Honduras's economy for about 5 years or more. We're going to most likely have an influx of orphans, things like that. And so there's been conversation about how when people start traveling again, they're going to see that poverty, build another orphanage, help this way. And we've got to help in a way that makes a lasting impact, doesn't hurt the family structure in the country or the community structure. We've got to help in a way that's intentional, to not just make ourselves feel better that we gave, but that actually really makes the impact that needs to be made. So be intentional about where you invest to help the crises that will come after.
I think it's crisis.
Thank you. The crisis that will happen because of COVID, of just the poverty level that will be deeper. As you think about how you're going to invest in those areas, be intentional. Please research, make sure you're investing in advocating for something that's going to make a lasting change and really bring the country back up where it needs to be, on that economy level. So
yeah, we need to put better options out there. If there's an option, even if it's not the best, it's gonna be used, and we can see it right now with the unemployment thing, right, in the States, right? How some people are choosing to just collect unemployment instead of going to work because they're making a little bit more, which I don't understand. It doesn't make sense in my head, but it's not a better option, in the long run. It's not a better option, but people are taking it because it's there. Right. If we present it's the same way in orphan care, if we make those options available, they're going to be used, and even if it's not what's best for the children. So, I was thinking of it as a little analogy of that, but
maybe let's talk about this
make
next
the best
Tuesday.
Options available for the kids.
Okay, I like that. Best options available. That's our next Tuesday talk. We'll keep talking through that, of the best way you can help the crisis that will probably surge because of COVID in third world countries. Sound good? See you next Tuesday. Yay. Thank you guys. Have a great day.